I think quite often people avoid that uncomfortableness at home. They avoid that uncomfortable jumping bigger or bigger tracks or tighter lines or whatever it is, because your mind is trying to prevent you from that failure thing. It's trying to prevent you from those run outs, those stops, from it falling apart, like whatever that looks like. But I think by pushing yourself and testing yourself to the max at home, like none of us are certain, we don't know, like you can go out cross country anytime and your horse will stop at something, it will run out, you've no idea why it happened, but that's life, and that is part of training your mind to actually always look for facts, always look for information, always look for data.
Happy Monday! Today we're going to talk about anxiety before you're jumping a course, or that anxiety that arises when you're about to jump a little bit higher than you usually do. But before we dive in, how are you doing today, Lorna?
I'm very well, thank you. Just back from a lovely event at south of Scotland, one of the few that we have left in Scotland, so yeah.
That's awesome. Catching up on work, I bet.
Yes, we always have this conversation. It's so nice to go away, but then when you come back, it's like you hit the ground running, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. But I've understood that you finally learned to not plan all your coaching calls on Mondays.
Very true. It's taken me a while. We always say learn from your mistakes, and it's not a mistake to fill you guys in, but actually fill your own cup first. When you're feeling a little bit drained and a little bit exhausted, then it's definitely worth filling your own cup first.
Yeah, 100%. That said, we do have places still for people who want to come in and do coaching on other days than just the day after Lorna comes back from eventings. And if you're interested in grabbing one of those spots, go to minnick.eu/coaching, apply for coaching there, and you can have a conversation with Lorna to see if you're a good fit. Right, Lorna, that said, anxiety before jumping a course, that fear of messing up, what would you say?
What would I say? I actually had an interesting experience yesterday in the warm-up, and I actually had warmed myself up because the lady said there was 4 to go and then there was a break, and then the next time I went round she'd squished in 6 and then there was a break, so I found myself a little bit frustrated because I'm like, I'm ready to go. And then so I was moseying around, I was actually watching other people warm up, and it's interesting how, like, when you watch people in a warm-up, the adrenaline that's actually in that warm-up, or a bit of activation or a bit of anxiety or whatever you want to call it, like people actually become so hung up on finding that distance. Like everybody has to find that distance before they, go in and jump that track. Whereas actually, most people are taught to ride their canter. You need that big canter. If you create the canter, then you create options and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I find it really interesting to see how many people actually just forget about their process in a warm-up, because suddenly, that upright and that ups are in there. Like people are just charging at them and people are missing distances and like there's trainers shouting and like it feels like chaos when you're in there. And normally I'm so busy hooked in my own process of warming myself up and not really paying attention to what anybody else is doing. But yeah, I just thought, what an interesting experience, because it's not like these guys haven't practiced at home, it's not like they've not jumped that height before, but it's like suddenly their process just leaves them. And then from that, actually, I'd wandered around a bit, and then they had the course walk and it's my turn to go and all the rest of it. And then I started cantering round to the fence again. Hadn't really got him in front of my leg. He was switched off. I was switched off a bit. And then I was like cantering around. And then I found myself starting to search for a distance again. And I'm like, hang on a minute here. But obviously with the awareness that we talk about, it's like, get him in front of your leg, get cantering, get going. And he jumped one of the best rounds of his life. But yeah, I think actually if we just pause and take a bit of time sometimes in those situations just to notice what is actually going on. And there was a girl actually, she looked very nervous, and her trainer came over and he's like, let's just have a little word about what's going on here. And I just thought it was a cool experience, because I think it doesn't matter whether it's in a warm-up, it doesn't matter whether you're jumping at home, it doesn't matter whether you start jumping bigger fences at home. Whenever we're kind of outside of our comfort zone or something matters, suddenly it's like everybody loses every bit of riding skill that they've got, and they get so activated because something matters that actually we all get so in our heads and actually forget our actual process in the minute. That was a long ramble.
Yeah. No, but I 100% agree. Like warm-up arenas, like Jesus Christ, though.
Yeah.
Like, and I think the the more it matters, like you say, that like if you go to an international show jumping courses, Jesus Christ, let's just be honest, it's not an enjoyable place to be.
Yeah.
It's almost like the air is vibrating on all those people and like stepping on each other's foot, but like, you know, in like, and oh no, it's my fans, like people literally like just like almost starting to hit each other to like, you know, push each other away to no, it's my fans and I'm gonna build this height. And like I think it really brings out the worst in people.
I agree.
Like
I agree, absolutely. And now that you talk about this, is a bit off topic, but I think it's quite good to share with everyone. Emily's my trainer's last international I was doing the fences for, and the same thing. There was another really well-known event rider who actually always thought was a kind of funny sort of guy, but holy moly, in the warm-up with him, like he was so desperate because it was his chance to go in, and people wanted wide oxers, people wanted narrow oxers, they wanted it up in front and behind, and everyone's shouting, and I'm even on the ground, you're like, holy moly guys, let's all just stop and take a breath. Easy when you're on the ground. Do you know, there's time for everyone, but I love what you say. It's actually quite a dangerous place to be, is in a warm-up, even with those professional guys, when adrenaline is high.
Yeah, 100%, and I think it just triggers people. There's some kind of trigger there, and oftentimes when it comes to triggers, there's some kind of underlying insecurity gets triggered. There's always that, like you say, that something that matters. There is some kind of underlying insecurity. I guess as a groom, you want to, like, if I look at the people that are standing there, like you have the riders that have some usually underlying insecurity. Am I able to do this? Am I good enough? They want to prove something to themselves or to someone else. Really just want to do a good job. Then you have the grooms that are hired by someone who want to make sure that everything is correct and they have exactly the same, you know, that kind of fence that the rider wants to have, because God knows they want to make sure that they are good enough. Like I feel that sometimes there as well, when you need to, like, I need to build a fence for my trainer, or you have this really sensitive horse that need exactly that and exactly that, then you want to be good enough as in the person who's building the fence, right? And I think it all gets so just jammed up in people's insecurities, and that's why I say it brings out the worst in people, because so many people get triggered by those insecurities, and we start to act in uncharacteristic ways.
100%. But I think it's the same when you're at home. You know, if you're a bit stressed out or you're in a rush, and then suddenly you start dropping things or you can't find things, and it's because we're so activated by in a hurry, or like you say, something matters. Even stupid things like you drop a cup or you can't find your car keys, and everything just becomes heightened in our nervous system because something matters. But I honestly think if we could all just take a big deep breath and slow down, actually just enjoy the whole process, then, and you know what, like I've been in that situation as well, and I think exactly what you said, it's something matters, we feel triggered, we have some sort of insecurity, whatever that is, in that
and then time pressure, which is often
time pressure.
As well.
100%.
Yeah. But okay, so let's take this a step back then. So what can you do in those situations? I think awareness, we always talk about awareness. First of all, notice that you're shifting into a person that you doesn't necessarily want to be, that isn't you, right? You're starting to act in an uncharacteristic way, and then ask yourself, well, what is causing that? What is the underlying insecurity? Why am I getting triggered? Because let's be honest, we are getting, if you're starting to act like that, and I am as well at occasions, I started acting like this the day before yesterday, like I got triggered by an insecurity, but then what I'm getting pretty quick in doing is like, okay, well, what is going on here? What, like, it's nothing to do with that other person or what that other person said. This is something to do with me. Which underlying insecurity with me, which uncertainty within me is this triggering?
Yeah, and I think that interestingly, I had a call with someone today, and I said that, you know, it's never, yes, people's words can hurt us, of course they do, but it's the meaning that we make out of that situation. And as I always say, you know, we delete, distort, generalize information to fit in with our map of the world. So in simple terms, that just means that your brain is going to manipulate all sorts of words, things people said, with our own insecurities, and your mind is actually really good at that, and with no awareness you can have gone off somewhere on a completely different tangent, and actually your brain is just getting all the little pieces of the puzzle to fit in with what you already believe about yourself. So if, you know, it could be jumping bigger tracks, it could be you're not good enough to jump in international arenas, it could be stepping up and you know other people don't think you're ready, like whatever that is, your brain then starts to take all of that information, and it likes evidence. At the end of the day, your mind wants you to be safe. That's all that it's doing. So it's always scanning for danger, and that doesn't mean whether it's a warm up, it's whether it's something that somebody said to us. It's you're in a warm up with a load of professional riders, you walk the track and you're like, holy shit, that's massive. Like it's always scanning for that bit of danger. So it's never going to see danger and be like, hey, I know this is a really good idea, come on, let's go. It's going to then start looking for every single little piece of evidence that it can to stack up why you shouldn't do something.
Yeah, and that is because, I mean, our brain, it hates uncertainty.
Yeah.
It hates uncertainty. and naturally, when you are about to step up to a new level, or you're about to go in and jump a show jumping course at a height that is maybe, higher than you feel comfortable with, there's so much uncertainty there. There are, like, let's be honest, there are so many things that can go wrong. And especially if you're doing something like a height for the first time, you don't know if you're going to be able to do it. It is like the whole thing by definition is uncertain. It's unknown. You don't know. Like, and as I spoke about this trigger that I was confronted with the other day, I decided to step up to 4-star during my next eventing competition, and something I've noticed is that a lot of people have opinions about that. It's almost like the higher you go up, it's like I have more people that send me messages and be like, "You're doing awesome." They're so supportive, but I also have more people that I normally would that's questions it and says like, are you really ready for it? Or, not even that, they would make jokes about it. And like you say, that meaning that you then assign to it. And that was what triggered me the other day, that someone made a joke about it. That probably person didn't mean any harm. It just made a joke, but it really triggered me. And I noticed that happened, and I was like, okay, well, what's going on here? And I really had to take that step back and, okay, what's the underlying insecurity here? Yeah, it's got nothing to do with what he said or the joke that he made. It's got to do with the fact that I am not 100% sure that I'm going to be able to do it. I'm not. But here's the thing. That is also okay. That is normal, because I've never done it before. The horse has never done it. I have never done it. So I can impossibly be sure that it's going to work out. And I think just then accepting that is there, the uncertainty is there. It's okay to feel uncertain about it. That in itself, just be like, okay, you're okay. Like it's okay to not be sure that you're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I think in terms of evidence with that, then yes, you don't know. Like we always say, ready is an action, but you can realistically have that checklist and know that your preparation is on point and you've ticked every box and ready. Like as in, I'm as ready as I can be. Like I've done the work. I've tested myself at home. To a point where, because I think quite often people avoid that uncomfortableness at home. They avoid that uncomfortable jumping bigger or bigger tracks or tighter lines or whatever it is, because your mind is trying to prevent you from that failure thing. It's trying to prevent you from those run outs, those stops, from it falling apart, like whatever that looks like. But I think by pushing yourself and testing yourself to the max at home, like none of us are certain, we don't know. Like you can go out cross country anytime and your horse will stop at something, it will run out, you've no idea why it happened. But that's life, and that is part of training your mind to actually always look for facts, always look for information, always look for data. It's not, it's not just judgment. It's not just I'm shit. Like there's a reason, and potentially it is because they've ran through. Yesterday I jumped a line, and actually I walked it last year and I ended up withdrawing because we weren't in a great place in our training. It was tipping it down the rain. It was actually just before you got married, before we came to Sweden last year. And I made the decision in my mind, and it wasn't an easy one, to withdraw, because I knew that the challenge was big, the ground conditions were pretty, I hate the word dangerous, but they weren't great. I'd already seen somebody slip up, and I made that decision, and I stick by that, because this year I jumped round it. A table, big table, 5 strides, big drop, landing down the hill. Anybody who knows Alfie, that has been my real challenge, right-handed to a big brush corner. And we nailed it. And you know what? You could say last year I could have given it a go in the less than ideal conditions, but in my mind it wasn't the right decision to make, and I think that's okay. It's your decision to make. Like your horse is better than anyone else. And I think from a fear perspective is going to hold you back for sure. So somebody who's jumping at a level and wants to step up, fear is always going to hold you back. So that is a process of pushing yourself at home, but also at the same time trust your gut. Like if the conditions don't feel right, it's also okay not to push at that point. But your horse better than anyone, yourself better than anyone. So if you've ticked every box of your preparation and you're as ready as you can be in that sense, then give it a shot, because certainty will never be there.
No, 100%.
It will never be there. It's a starting point, huh? Like, it's always just, it's a starting point, and sometimes there is no other way than to learn on the job. And, you know, when Alfie was really strong and he ran with his head down, I had run out after run out, as you know, run out. And yeah, I got pissed at myself, I got frustrated, I got bummed, I got all those things. But he is a tricky horse, and it's taken this amount of time to actually be able to get the control, to be able to turn, to get him to run with his head off, to let the handbrake off. Like, it's not very often I would say I was so proud of myself yesterday, because that track was like a roller coaster. Like, you could not have thought of a worse track, really. Like, it's a beautiful track, but every up and down and up and down, and everybody knows I'm a strong horse. It's not the most ideal feeling in the world, huh? But actually, in terms of a year's progress, when you look back, and that's not in terms of stepping up, that's in terms of rideability, then that is how I choose to measure my progress, for sure. So measure your own progress in your own way. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you mentioned so many good things in there. Like, first of all, the preparation. As I said before, like, it's about accepting the uncertainty, but then you can also switch that around and saying, okay, just accept that there are a lot of factors that I can't control, especially 100%. If you're doing a new level for the first time. And there's a lot of uncertainty there. We can't be sure that anything is going to work out, right? But then ask yourself, what about this can I control? Like, what are the things that are inside of my control? Well, how many times I'm going to practice dressage before leading up to the event? Where I'm going to go cross-country schooling? What fences I'm going to jump on beforehand? If I'm going to go to a show jumping competition before and jump the height already. All those, like, there's so many things. How I'm going to take care of myself, how I'm going to take care of my mind, how I'm going to take care of my body leading up, how I'm going to make sure that I feel as good as I possibly can, how I'm going to make sure that the horse feels as well as he possibly can leading up. Am I going to have the physio so many weeks before? There's so many things that you actually can control, and I think that also gives a lot of calm. If we speak, like, calm to me is like the kind of the opposite to anxiety. If we then speak about calm, to focus on the things that you actually can do. Yeah.
And I think that is from, as I always go on about, a safe regulated state. Like, you're always going to find a process within that, but from an activated state, that kind of fight or flight state, we start with stories. Your mind starts with stories. It starts filling in the blanks, the what ifs, what if I can, what if I can't, what will people think, blah, 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 all that kind of garbage. But I think if we can safely regulate ourselves, then we can make our own decisions based on our own opinions rather than anybody else's. And that, again, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It brings it back to you. Actually, you have choices, and if you make choices from a safe state, then you're always going to make more helpful decisions, I guess. You're going to always have more helpful choices than ones that are based on the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? Well, none of us know that stuff. It doesn't. It's not in our control. It doesn't matter what height you're jumping. There are so many what ifs. There is.
Yeah,
but if you keep bringing it back to what does my horse need from me? Well, the main thing, like for all of us, and it sounds so simple, it needs a decent canter. It needs a big canter. But when we're in that activated state, we're so desperate to look for a distance and hunt a distance and find the stride and make it all perfect and all that kind of stuff. We're really in front of our leg, big canter, eyes up, decent line. There's choices there in front of you. Will it be perfect? No, but you stand a bigger chance of it actually working out.
Yeah, 100%. And I think even there, like, if you then take it one step further and you focus on, like, it depends a little bit what makes you anxious, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But then, this person actually sent this in this question. She was talking about also like landing in an oxer, and that being the anxiety. And here's what I think also helps in those situations is to actually, if your mind is going to run that scenario anyway, right? You might as well like really let it run its course. Then I'm always like, okay, let's say that actually happens. Like, let's say that happens. What are you gonna do? Like, what's gonna be the next step, and what's gonna be the next step? And then okay, worst case scenario, you land in an oxer. Okay, what are you gonna do? Okay, you're gonna come at it again, probably lower the fence, go jump at it again, see if you can make your horse feel confident again. Probably it works out, and then you can still go in and walk, jump the course. If the horse really isn't gonna like jump anything more that day, what are you gonna do? Okay, you're probably gonna take the horse to your trainer. You're gonna have some lessons at home. If the horse, okay, worst case scenario, the horse still is not jumping. Okay, what are you gonna do? Well, I'm probably gonna ask my trainer to get on and jump the, And then if you kind of can go down that worst case scenario route and be like, okay, that could happen, but actually I already have a backup plan. So let's say that would happen. I already have a plan worked out of how I'm going to fix that. And I think that also gives a lot of calm to be like, okay, I can actually live with the worst case scenario.
Yeah, and I think action is the only way, huh? Your brain can't solve a hypothetical situation. It doesn't work like that. It can only solve what's in front of it, like literally. So the only way, like you say, is to take action. And it doesn't matter if you put the fence down to a pole on the ground. It doesn't matter if you make it the tiniest cross pole you've ever done. But we just have to start. We just have to get going, you know. And if something happens, it happens. Like, we'll find the pieces, we'll put it back together, we'll problem solve. But when you're so afraid of the outcome and the what, your brain will find no solution for that other than to tell you, okay, let's not try. So I think separating possibility from probability is actually, like, that is the way to go. Something could go wrong. Yeah, it could. Lots of things can go wrong. It's horses. Like, that is fact. And it's almost something, sometimes people get a little bit prickly, but it's almost something we have to accept, because
100%,
I can't sit here and say, you're not going to fall off. I can't sit here and say, you're not going to miss a distance. I can't sit here and say, you're not going to land in the middle of that oxer. But what I can say is I can teach you for your mind to be present, make your canter big enough, be self-aware of what is actually going on, and actually start listening to what your horse needs from you, rather than your brain trying to predict or solve what might happen in a day or 2 days or 3 days when you actually go to the show. I can't help you with that, because I have no tools for your brain to fix something in the future. Like, no one does, huh? Yeah. It's normal to be activated. Like, it's normal to be activated. I think that's just one thing we need to put out there. And I think the more of this I do, and the more calls I've had recently, people want to feel in this calm state. I don't want to feel nerves. I don't want to feel anxious. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel that. Well, if I went and rode around like cross country, I have to have that bit of orange, like, anxiety almost in my body. Anxiety is a strong word, but energy in my body. Because if I started off going cross country like a rag doll and floppy, counting towards some of those combinations, no thank you very much. Like, I need that in my body to be like, come on, like, fucking get on with it, excuse my French. But, like, we need that in our body, and I think it's crazy to think that you can go and jump around something without having that energy in your body. Yes, the issue comes when it's too much, but, like, you need that, huh? Like, 100%. We need that for peak performance. Like, that is part of it. And I think I've probably started to understand that more about myself now. Like, my normal state for jumping, going cross country, whatever that looks like, that does have energy. Like, that does have tension in my body. It does. Like, if we weren't all a little bit scared of doing this, I think we'd be a little bit tapped in the head. Like, I think we'd be a little bit nuts. I spoke to a girl yesterday who went to Bramham and she did her first 4-star short. She's like, yeah, jumped the first fence and she just wanted to go home. She's like, it was fucking massive. And she had 2 run-outs, but do you know what? She got all the way around, and she's like, you know, sometimes you just have to start. So it's normal, huh? Like, it's normal to have that energy in your body.
Yeah, and it's all about learning to function with that energy.
With it, yeah, 100%.
Not only learning to function, actually perform as well as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Under that level of energy and tension in your body. Yeah.
Because that's you, huh? That's the way you function. Yes, we can make you calmer, or yes, we can get you to have high energy, but we actually need to find what your state is actually, first of all, like what your energy number is essentially when you go out there.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
Sorry, I was just going to say, mine is probably 5, 6, 7 sometimes. Like, it's actually quite a high state to get myself ready to do that task that's in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was going to say everyone is interesting you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Everyone is different there, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is different in which state. I'd tend to, for me, I'm a quite wired person in general. Like, everyone who knows me as a personal level knows that I'm quite intense, in the lack of a better word. And for me to perform, I actually need to take it down a notch and find my calm and my focus. That's where I perform the best. I know other people that you, like my friend and trainer Peter, for example, like, he needs to get a little bit winded up. Like, you know, the best you can do for him to perform is like, Peter, I'm so gonna beat you in that jump off. Like, you go stand a chance. He gets on his horse and he goes in and wins the class, right? That's not working with me. I ride worse in that setting, but to him, that just gets him up to his optimal performance state. So, you know, it's different for everyone, and I think that is so interesting about doing this work. It's about finding those, like, little things that helps you get into that optimal state.
Yeah, and understanding yourself, exactly that. What is your optimal state? You know, you're not crazy because you feel like you have so much adrenaline in your body to function. Like, you're an individual. Like, you and I are different. Like, it's never going to be the same level. And I think little things, if you know, as an awareness, when I struggle a bit when I go cross country skiing because I'm doing it out of cold blood. Like, I struggle to get that adrenaline in my body. And you know, like a couple of weeks ago, I said to you, I got held for 10 or 15 minutes, and like, I have never felt every bit of adrenaline leave my body. And I think, you know, when you're on a big strong horse and you've got in a bowling rhythm, and then suddenly you're stopped, you're like, oh, holy shit, how am I going to get this back together to get going again? And it is working out, understanding yourself, how you get yourself into that optimal state. So, you know, it's not let me just work with people who have fear. Like, I do a lot with my one-on-ones about real performance coaching, like how we get into that ideal state to actually be able to perform. So it's not just that you're nervous or you lack confidence or, you know, any of those things. This work is really, how do we achieve your ideal state?
It's not about getting away from nerves. It's about how to step into your like ideal performance.
Your performance, yeah.
Yeah. And that said, if you're like, I want to find out how to do that, then you're welcome. You can get in touch with us on mindig.eu/coaching. You'll find the link to that in the show notes, as always. And if you're looking at a bit of a lower threshold way, where you can kind of start to consume more of our content, more of the information that we send out, you can go to mindig.eu/weekly hacks and sign up for our weekly mindset and performance hacks. You get them delivered to your inbox every single week. You'll find that link also in the show notes. And other than that, Lorna, did you have something to add?
No, I think I'm done. The other thing we do have, though, is also our community, which is a group that's filled with really positive riders who face the same challenges. And actually, most people that show up to that, the real benefit in that is it's an understanding of, hey, it's not just me. You know, somebody said, though, that, what did they say the other day? I wonder if you can cure me of my disease or something. It was a non-native speaking English person. I was like, what do you mean cure you of your disease? Well, what's wrong with you? First of all, I can't cure anyone. And second of all, what's actually wrong with you? So I think it's a great place to show off if you're looking for a bit of support. You just want these guys to come along on your journey. Great. That's also a great place to start.
Connected people who are also growth-minded. Huh? Yeah, 100%. And you'll find the link to all of those three things in the show notes. And if you're like, oh, but that was too much, I'm not sure where to start, then go to mindig.eu/coaching, because then you can literally hop on a call with Lorna and she can guide you towards the right option for you. Good-o! Then at this point, I'm going to challenge everyone to start making strides in their mindset so they can truly make strides in their riding. And we will see you all on the next Magical Monday.
Bye!